Every single day at 1 p.m., the Central Indiana Sports Report airs its Central Indiana Scoreboard Show, featuring scores and highlights from high school, college, and professional sports news in Central Indiana and sometimes nationally. It's like your audio sports section every single weekday at 1 o'clock. You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, podcast number 252.4, the Combat Sports Report with Hanson Crafton. Hanson previews a big weekend in boxing, 3 straight nights of championship fights, and a little bit of UFC.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Hanson, it's been a little while. You and I have not talked a whole lot lately because there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about in the fight game, but that changes this weekend. A lot going on, especially in boxing, a little bit in UFC. Welcome back, Hanson. What are you what are you looking forward to most?
Yeah, we got a big weekend ahead of us. It's like they came back with a boom. Starting Friday, they're giving us a really good card Friday night in Times Square, New York. It's basically like a little tournament with the super lightweights. But I think they're all going to end up going to welterweight anyways. But it's still going to be a fun weekend. You're getting all three of the big names. You're getting Devin Haney, Brian Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez. So they're all three going to be in different fights. Teofimo's the only one that's got a title on the line. He's putting his super lightweight title on the line. Teofimo is 21-1. His one loss was Kambosos just a couple of years ago. He's fighting Arnold Barbosa Jr. Arnold Barbosa Jr. is 32-0. He is undefeated. Thing about this fight, Teofimo is the favorite. Small favorite. I think he's minus 250, and he is the closest. That's pretty much the closest fight of the weekend. So we do have some crazy odds this weekend, but this fight is a good one to keep an eye on. I lean Teofimo, but it's going to be a good fight. I'm not counting Barbosa out. I just like Teofimo a little bit more. Teo, he's coming off 5 straight wins since his last loss, his only loss. He did have a close fight. I think when he beat Josh Taylor for the title, he has had a close fight since then, but he's looked good. He's looked a lot better since his loss. Barbosa, he's the interim super lightweight champ. He's looked as good as well. They both have a victory over Devin Haney's opponent, Jose Ramirez, who's also fighting on this card. Like I said, I see Teofimo winning that one, but I wouldn't be surprised for an upset there, too. I really think Barbosa is a good fighter as well. Next fight, we'll go ahead and go with the Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez fight. Devin Haney, 31-0. He is the former lightweight champ, and Devin Haney has had a lot of noise around his name in the last year since his fight with Ryan Garcia. Garcia did pop positive for steroids in that fight, so his loss got overturned. But it was a beating. Haney got dropped maybe 3 or 4 times in that fight. It had to have affected his confidence. He hasn't fought since then. So this is a big fight for him to kind of see where he's at, where his head's at, what kind of changes he's made. I have heard he's moved his camp to Big Bear. He has been working with Shane Mosley. They said they're trying to work on getting him a little more power. Haney is a guy who's very slick, very good boxer, just never been able to hurt anybody. He doesn't really pack anything on his punches. I don't know if that's by intention. Maybe he wants to keep his stamina, or maybe he just doesn't have that type of punching power. But he has been working on it. So this is a big fight for Devin Haney. Like I said, I do think he can win this fight over Jose Ramirez. He should win this fight. Ramirez has 2 losses in his last 5 fights, so he is kind of on the downslope. But we'll see. I don't know how good his chin is. He did get dropped by Josh Taylor in their fight. I think he got dropped twice in that fight, actually. He is coming off a loss to Barbosa. So Devin Haney should win this fight, but we will get to see what he looks like since that last fight. You know, like I said, he got embarrassed pretty good against Ryan Garcia. Sometimes it's tough to come back from those type of beatings. But we'll see if he can do it, turn around this weekend.
It really
And then
is. You rarely see somebody get beat like that and then come back and be great again.
Especially somebody like him, you know, he was on a trajectory to be an undefeated guy, you know, multiple weight world champ. He was very high on himself. So that, you know, I'm very interested to see how he responds to that, because it was a big fight for him. And like I said, he kind of got embarrassed. So it's going to be interesting to see how he responds.
And Hanson, this is at main cards at 8 o'clock. It's on pay per view at DAZN. If you're a boxing fighting fan, you need to have that app.
Yes. The main event for that is the Ryan Garcia Rolly Romero fight. This is another interesting fight. Garcia, like I said, in his last fight, he did put a whooping on Haney, but he tested positive after the fight. So it got overturned. He's been suspended. So he's kind of got a redemption fight as well. There has been a lot of rumblings in the open workouts and stuff. His body does not look the same. So it's kind of obvious the steroids did help him in his last fight. He was a lot thicker, a lot more shredded in his last fight. Doesn't look the same in this fight. So it would be interesting to see if his performance slips. Steroids is something that does help you in a fist fight. So
Yes, it
it'll be
does.
interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he looks coming in clean. I think he could beat Rolly Romero. I like Rolly Romero. He's a good fighter. He's not a great fighter. He's 16-2. Garcia's only loss came to Tank, and Rolly also lost to Tank. They both actually got stopped by Tank. So it's kind of interesting. They're their only common opponent. They both got knocked out by. Rolly has lost 2 of his last 4, so I don't really know where he's at right now. He is a good, strong fighter. He does have some knockouts on his record. He's got 16 wins and 12 knockouts. His issue is sometimes he rushes in, he leaves himself open, and he kind of gets caught with stuff. He'll have to be careful with that. Garcia has a really good left hook. That's his best punch. It's powerful. It's fast. He hurts a lot of people with that left hook. So Rolly's got to be very careful, making sure he doesn't do that, because that is how he loses fights. He gets caught leaping in, and he gets stopped. He got stopped by Isaac Pitbull Cruz as well a couple fights ago. So this is an interesting fight. Like I said, I do see Ryan winning. I think all the big 3 names on this card should win their fights, and then they're going to set up big fights down the future. I'm pretty sure that's the plan for all these fights this weekend, is to get some guys some fights in, and then later in the year they're going to all be in some pretty big fights.
Garcia is 11-1 to win this fight. Haney is 12-1. So those are big, big odds to win those fights. For those of you who are interested, it's the first fight. Lopez and Barbosa is scheduled for 8. Haney Ramirez 9 and Garcia Romero 10. But of course, boxing schedules never quite go exactly the way they're supposed
No, they don't, especially
to.
those turkey cards, because they'll have performances and concerts and
Yes, yes, they will. And that's not even the biggest fights of the weekend, or at least not the biggest names of the weekend. There
right.
are a couple of huge names in boxing on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, Saturday we have the return of the man, the golden boy of boxing, Canelo Alvarez. He fights every Cinco de Mayo weekend, every Kentucky Derby Saturday. He will fight. I think Mayweather used to do that, so he's kind of taking that role now. Decent fight. He's fighting William Skull. I like Skull.
Great
He's the
name.
IBF. Yeah,
Great
it's
name.
he's a good fighter. Like I said, he's a good. Like all these guys that are fighting these guys this weekend, they're good fighters. They're just not great, and they happen to be facing great opponents. William is he's the IBF super middleweight champion. Canelo does have the WBC and the WBO, so this will be for all 3 of the middleweight titles. I think, in my honest opinion, I think they set this up so Canelo could be undisputed. So then when he fights Bud Crawford in the year, it's for undisputed title. It'll be Bud Crawford's chance to go for 3-weight undisputed, which
The way to
hasn't been
do it.
done. I think they're setting up a big one here. I don't really like William Skull's chances in this fight. To me, honestly, it's a question: does he get knocked out or not? I think Canelo wins this fight. I think Canelo wins this fight pretty easy, and I think it goes on to set up a huge fight with Bud Crawford. I think they're setting it up in October.
I like Crawford in that one. Saturday, the 3rd at 11 o'clock is Alvarez and Skull. Anything in that undercard that interests you?
Yeah, a couple. So the first one that interests me is Jamie Mungui's coming back. He was a really interesting prospect. He's a Mexican fighter. He's had a lot of fights on his record, even as a young. He's already got 40-something fights on his record. He was up and coming, undefeated. He fought Canelo for the belt, probably a little too early. He lasted in that fight. Didn't look terrible, but Canelo won fairly easy. He didn't get stopped, so it was kind of a good thing. But then he fought Bruno Suros. He was He was winning that fight. It went 6 rounds. He had knocked Sue Ross down in the second. Was winning the fight, and then in the sixth round got caught with a 1-2 and got put out. So they're having a rematch this weekend on that card. Sue Ross is 26-0. He just knocked out Mungai, but for some reason he's a huge underdog.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange. Um, I think I think they still like Mungai's potential. I do. He is a good fighter, but he has shown in all his fights really to he's not very good defensively, and he does get hit. So
So Saras is
I,
good value there at 6.5 to 1.
he is, but he's a little. It's weird. Like if you look at his record, he's 26-0, but he's only got 5 knockouts. So
Mm.
maybe he's not a huge puncher. I think he just got, he just caught. He just happened to catch him a guy in that last fight, kind of in the right time, right place. I really don't know how big of a puncher he is. So that makes it interesting. Maybe that's why Mungai is a big favorite. They think maybe he'll just box him up like he was doing in the first fight, and stay away from those power punches. So that one's really interesting just for that fact on the rematch. And since Mungai was such a good prospect at one time, he does have 44 wins, 35 knockouts, so he is a good fighter. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds with this fight. And then another fight on there is my favorite. Martin Bucoli's coming back this
That's
time
right.
on a full training camp. He looks in great shape. If you could see the videos he's been putting out from training camp versus what he looked like going into that Joseph Parker fight, it's crazy. I've seen Bacoli fight 4 times now, and I've never seen him get in this type of shape. So I'm really interested to see what he looks like. I wonder if maybe he's going to lose any of his power for getting in such good shape. Like he put out videos, he's doing like tuck rows and looks like a little gymnastic. I mean, it was
Mm.
crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's in fantastic shape for this fight. So, but I wonder if that'll take some of his power away. He's fighting Effie Ajagba, another decent fighter,
Looks like
not
a
a
good
great
fight.
fighter. Yeah, it's the second. I think it's the second closest odds of the weekend. Both of them are a gap punch of power. The only thing about Ajagba is that he is smaller, so I don't really know if he'll be able to handle the power. And his few fights, he's had a lot of fights recently by decision, so I really don't know how big of a puncher he is. And with Bacoli, he's one of those guys. If he's still got the power, it's not really safe to try to decision a guy like Martin Bacoli. You want to try to get in there and get a guy like that out of there because now you've got 10 or 12 rounds where you got to try not to get knocked out. So that's a fun fight. Anytime you got two heavyweights, it's a fun fight. So I like this fight. It'd be interesting. I think it is also a title eliminator fight. I think the winner of this fight is going to be the mandatory for one of the heavyweight belts once they get all those satisfied. I don't know. I think Usyk is fighting Du Bois. I don't know what Parker's going to do. I think he may wait, which I think he's earned that right. So if he wants to wait, I'm okay with that. So then I think Bacoli have to get in line a little bit. But I do think this fight is for mandatory at one of the heavyweight titles.
And Bacoli's back pretty quickly. When it happened, I said I didn't think it was a good idea for him to take that fight.
Nah, it
Um,
wasn't. But it's just like I said with heavyweights. Anytime you get heavyweights, it's exciting.
oh yes, oh yeah. I Nothing gets me my blood pressure going quite like a heavyweight championship fight, especially when I really like one or the other.
Right, especially when you know both of them can put your lights out. So it
That's
kind of just
right.
makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun fight.
Just want to reiterate here, Hanson, that this is on Saturday night. The card starts at 8 o'clock in Saudi Arabia, but 8 o'clock our time, right?
Yes.
And again, Canelo Skull is the main event, but a lot of good fights start at 8 o'clock. The main card starts at 10. So, and that one is also pay per view, right?
Yes. Yes. I
Okay.
think it's the zone as well.
Yeah, it is. It is the zone. Yeah. So really good weekend of boxing, Hanson.
Yeah, it is. I'm really excited.
Not the best. Not the best. Most competitive, maybe, but a lot of good fighting, and also there's even more Sunday, which is unusual.
Yeah. Well, Sunday it's kind of just the weekend cap. It's going to be late Sunday night, but Las Vegas is going to host. one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, in my opinion. In a way, he's going to put his lightweight title on the super lightweight title on the line, and he is fighting Raymond Cardonis. 26-1, 14 KOs. He's a decent fighter as well. He's on a 14 fight win streak, but Inoue's on a 10 fight knockout streak, and I think he makes it 11. This is going to be another one of those fights where they're getting a good fight out of him this weekend. Nakatami fights in a couple of weeks, and then them two are going to probably sell out the Tokyo Dome later this year in a mega fight. So, but this will be fun. Inoue's fights are always fun. He's so entertaining. He's a guy who really goes for it. Good puncher. He's got good defense, slick, good power. So I really
and
enjoy Inoue fighting.
and easy to find, Hanson. This one's actually on ESPN. So
Yes, and
10,
it's the
10
first time
o'clock
he's
Sunday
fighting in
night.
America, so we
That's
don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch him fight.
that's good.
Yeah,
But you are going to have to stay up late on a Sunday night if you have to work early on Monday to watch it. But
exactly.
they can never make it convenient, can they?
Nah, you can't win them all. But hopefully, he's one of those guys that he'll probably end the fight early, so he'll get you in bed before 1.
There you go. We'll be in bed early on Sunday
Yeah, yeah, he'll get you in bed before 1.
night. And there's not just boxing this week. It's been what 5-6 weeks. I think we had one podcast in 5 or 6 weeks, and now all of a sudden we've got big boxing matches. We've got big UFC fights. Tell me about the UFC card this weekend, Hanson.
So the UFC card is a small card in Iowa. I think it's on ESPN Plus, so it's Saturday night. The main card will start at 10 o'clock, and it is on ESPN Plus. Title eliminator for 135 pounds, Corey Sandhagen, who's a good fighter. I've seen Corey Sandhagen fight live. He's a fun fighter. He's got finishing ability both on the feet and on the ground. He's a very skillful guy. He's got good ground and stand up. So he's a fun fighter to watch. And then he's fighting Davison Figueroa, who's also a fun guy. Figueroa's one of those guys. He's really exciting for a couple of rounds. He kind of runs out of gas a little bit, but he is very dangerous for probably the first 8 minutes of a fight. He's 24-4. He was the former flyweight champion. That's 125 pounds. He moved up to 135 a few fights ago. He started 3-0 at 35, and then he lost his last fight to Peter Yan, who was a former champ at 135 and still a very good fighter. But it's an interesting fight. I do think Sandhagen should win this fight. He's a little bit more well-rounded. He's in a lot better shape. He can go the 5 rounds easy. I don't think Figueroa can. So I really think Sandhagen wins this fight. Now, he will have to be careful in the first couple rounds. Like I said, Figueroa is very dangerous early in fights. Sandhagen will have to be on his guard. But I think if he's careful early, he can probably win that fight late or get an easy decision.
I'm looking at the tail of the tape here, Hanson, and Sandhagen is 5'11", and Figueiredo is 5'5".
Yeah, so like I said, they were different weight classes. Figueroa did come up. He had a problem cutting weight for 25. He likes to get a little big when he's not fighting. So he's going to be undersized, and Sandhagen will have reach on him, and that's one of the reasons why I like him, because he's already a decent stand-up fighter, and he's going to have reach and size on him. So I think if he could get through the first couple rounds, I think it's a fairly easy. I don't want to say easy, but it's a
Right.
fight he should win.
Right. By the way, Sandhagen minus 650 in that fight, so a fairly significant favorite, but
Yeah,
not overwhelming. That says the fight could go either way.
yeah. I mean, you always have a puncher's chance. And
All
then
right.
the second fight I like on here, you have a guy who came from another organization. He was a champion in a Japanese organization. It was called One MMA. Rainer D. Ritter. He's 14-2. Like I say, he's 2-0 since coming to UFC. Now he's fighting super prospect Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel was an All-American wrestler. He's 7-0 since coming to mixed martial arts, undefeated in the UFC. He's got good ground game. His stand-up has been improving. He shows really good boxing in his fights. He actually has had a couple of knockouts, so he does show some power. And his wrestling has been fairly good. It hasn't been overwhelming like you would expect being a great collegiate wrestler, but he's super young. I think he's still learning how to mix it up, put together, because he has been willing to stay on his feet a little bit and play that game as opposed to just going in looking for straight takedowns. So that's an interesting fight, but I see Bo Nickel winning that fight. I think Bo Nickel will be able to use his wrestling and stay out of submission trouble. Now Ritter is a good submission fighter, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch Bo Nickel. I think Bo Nickel's wrestling is going to be a little too strong for De Ritter. Plus, again, if you look at the size of these guys, Nickel's a bigger guy. Usually, when you have a bigger, stronger wrestler, they can kind of dictate the fight a little bit better. And I think that's how this fight's going to play out. I think Nichols on a good path to starting to get some big names, and I think we could see him in a title fight fairly soon. So it's an interesting fight. Like I said, I do like Nickel, but you never know with jiu-jitsu guys.
And a pretty good card here as well down the line.
Yeah, they got some names on there. I think I saw Misha Tate on there. Uh,
Yes.
I think Maria Rodriguez is on there somewhere. So they've got some good fighters on there.
And this one is also on ESPN too, so another
Yes,
one that'll be easy to see if that's what you like. And if you're listening to this, I'm guessing that's what you like. So
I would hope so.
I would hope so. Especially if you made it this far into the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Because you probably don't have a clue what you're listening to.
That's right. But a lot of good fights coming up. Anything you're seeing in the near future, especially heavyweights? Give me some heavyweights, Hanson.
Well, the news that's coming out is it sounds like we might get Fury versus Joshua. I think Fury and Joshua both have been training and looking to fight each other. We are going to get Du Bois and Usyk. They have pretty much signed a fight. Don't know when they're going to fight, but they are going to fight. And then, like I said, I think Parker's going to sit out and wait, which I think I would
Smart.
probably do as well. Yeah, I mean he's earned the shot to fight for the title, so he should. Uh, he should just wait and fight for the title. But the 31st is a good card. There's a really big card here in Louisville I'm going to be going to. Pretty much all
Nice.
the local big fighters are going to be fighting on this card. There's even a guy, Tim Moulton, who's an undefeated heavyweight. I haven't even got to watch him fight yet, so I'm really excited to see him fight. Choi's fighting again on there. Juicy's fighting again. So
What date is
all the big
this?
names. May 31st.
Awesome.
And then the kid, there was a kid here who he actually was on, man, off that Skylar Lacey. So he was on Louisville's football team, played on the line, and then he was an amateur here. I actually went to a few of his amateur fights, and he recently took a fight on ESPN on an undercard. So he's actually had some big fights. So he's coming back to Louisville fight again. So it's a huge card for Louisville.
Of course, Hanson, if you didn't know, worked for me at the Jeffersonville Evening News and New Albany Tribune and lives in Louisville, Kentucky. He was always one of my favorites. Knowledgeable, hardworking, and a really fun guy to talk sports with. Thanks so much, Hanson. And thank you for listening. If you like these podcasts, please share them with your friends and family. I know you're thinking of some of your friends who like fighting. Go ahead and copy and paste the link to them or hit the share button. Please. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Central Indiana Sports Report is a production by TG Media. And I love Susie.